When you pay high for the priceless, you're getting it cheap. There's a story behind that. This is your daily message from Chad, number 932, to upgrade your mental game today by telling yourself a better story. Because the most important story you hear is the story you tell yourself. If you've not followed or subscribed yet, please do. This message is dedicated to my priceless boys, Conan, Clay, and Atlas crew. Here's the upgrade. Your finite resources like time and money are often exchanged for low-value items or experiences like scrolling social media. But upgraded thinking exchanges the finite resources for high-value items and experiences. Here's the story. Joseph Devine, D-U-V-E-E-N, later titled Lord Devine, was the most influential art dealer of the early 20th century. He died in 1939. He built his fortune by acquiring masterpieces from cash-strapped European aristocrats and selling them at enormous markups to America's Gilded Age industrialists like J.P. Morgan and John D. Rockefeller. Many of these works form the core collections of major U.S. institutions today, like the National Gallery of Art. While Devine brokered many blockbuster deals, I try to keep these messages under 5 minutes, so I don't have time to recount how psychologically sophisticated Devine's transactions were. For example, when a dealer offered William Randolph Hearst a room full of art for $50,000, Hearst rejected it. When Devine offered the same room for $200,000, Hearst bought it with gratitude. In one 1936 transaction, he sold a large batch of paintings to Andrew Mellon for $21 million. Joseph Devine's most famous sale was Thomas Gainsborough's The Blue Boy, which he sold in the early 1920s to railroad king Henry Huntington for approximately $728,000, equivalent to over $10 million today. At the time, this was the highest price ever paid for a painting, and the transaction catapulted Devine to global celebrity status as the world's premier art dealer. One of Devine's biographers wrote, Devine had taught them the idea that art was priceless, and when you pay for the infinite with the finite, you are indeed getting a bargain. The genius of this approach was psychological. It reframed the massive prices Devine charged, often the highest ever paid, as actually being cheap when viewed through this lens. Joseph Devine's principle of selling the infinite for the finite represents one of the most brilliant sales philosophies ever conceived. Devine inverted the typical understanding of value. He viewed money as low value and art as high value, which is the exact opposite of how these wealthy clients initially saw the world. Art was not a commodity like steel or oil that the titans of industry dealt in. It was rare, timeless, spiritually elevating, immortal. In a word, it was priceless. And when you can buy something priceless for something as transient as money, you are indeed getting a bargain. This concept of trading the infinite for the finite applies far beyond art. You need to make the same calculation for your value trades. For example, one of your biggest assets is your body. You only get one in life, yet you often discount its importance. You spend time on low-value items and experiences and say you don't have time to exercise, meditate, or eat something nutritious. Another example are your relationships. You tell yourself you don't have time for your most valuable relationships. The better story to tell yourself is, I pay for the infinite with the finite, and it's a bargain. Tell me a story of exchanging what is low value for high value to fromchadsmith@gmail.com. If you haven't followed or subscribed yet, please do. Send someone a text and ask them, what is priceless in your life? You can download my book, The Most Powerful Story in the World, by going to fromchad.gumroad.com. The transcript of this message and hundreds of others are always available at www.fromchad.com.